I stared at the cardboard box on my desk, still processing what just happened. My brother James stood in the doorway of what used to be my office, his arm around his wife Jessica's waist. The same Jessica who'd been working here for exactly 3 months. "Don't take it personally, Sarah," James said with that smirk I'd grown to hate. "Jessica just has more relevant experience." Jessica's relevant experience consisted of a failed Instagram boutique and 2 months as a receptionist. Meanwhile, I'd spent 5 years building our family's marketing agency from the ground up, turning it from a small local business into a regional powerhouse. "You can't just fire me," I said quietly, my hand gripping the edge of my desk. "I built half these client relationships." "Actually, I can," James replied, straightening the CEO nameplate on his chest. "Dad left me controlling interest, remember? How could I forget? 3 months ago, our father had passed away, leaving James 51% of the company and me 49%. He's the eldest," the lawyer had explained, as if that justified everything. "The clients trust me." I tried again, thinking of all the late nights, the cancelled vacations, the relationships I'd sacrificed to build this business. Jessica laughed, adjusting her designer blazer that probably cost more than my monthly salary. "The clients trust the Thompson name, sweetie. And I'm a Thompson now." I looked around the office. My office, taking in the awards I'd won, the client testimonials on the wall, the strategy plans I'd crafted. All about to be handed over to someone who thought SEO was a type of bird. "You have until end of day," James announced. "HR will process your final paycheck. Standard severance, of course. Standard severance. For 5 years of my life." "Oh, and Sarah?" Jessica added with fake concern. "Don't worry about the Morrison account. I've already scheduled lunch with them next week. I'm sure they'll love my fresh perspective." The Morrison account. My biggest achievement. I'd spent 6 months courting them, learning their business, crafting the perfect pitch. Now Jessica would probably suggest they focus on TikTok dances. I started packing slowly, each item a reminder of what I was losing. The photo of Dad and me at our first client signing. The business plan I'd written in college. The award for Best Regional Marketing Campaign. "Need help carrying that box to your car?" James asked, not even trying to hide his satisfaction. "That old Honda of yours is still running, right?" My old Honda sat in its usual spot in the parking garage. The same garage I secretly owned through my investment company, along with the entire office building. But they didn't know that. Not yet. See, while James was busy playing CEO and Jessica was planning office makeovers, I'd been making moves of my own. Silent investments, careful acquisitions, strategic planning. Dad might have given James the company, but he taught me something more valuable. Always have a backup plan. "I'll manage," I replied, picking up the box. "By the way, when is the lease renewal due?" "Next month." "Why?" James frowned. "Not that it's any of your business anymore." I smiled, thinking about the letter sitting in my other office, my real office, across town. "Just curious. Good luck with everything." "We don't need luck," Jessica called after me. "We need results. Something you never quite delivered." I stopped at the door, turning back one last time. "You know what they say about karma, Jessica?" She rolled her eyes. "Please spare us the sour grapes speech." "No speech," I said softly. "Just remember this moment. You might need to." In the elevator, I pulled out my phone and made a call. "Angela?" "Yes, it's done. Send the letter tomorrow morning. And schedule the meeting with Harrison and Associates for next week. I think they'll be looking for a new marketing agency very soon." As I walked through the lobby, nodding goodbye to security guards who had no idea they actually worked for me, I thought about James's face when he'd fired me. That smug satisfaction, that absolute certainty in his own power. I got into my Honda, a deliberate choice, not a necessity, and drove to my real office, where the CEO nameplate on the desk read, Us. Thompson Investments, LLC. Tomorrow morning, James would learn exactly who owned the building he was so comfortable in. And Jessica would discover that karma has a way of arriving right on schedule. But first I had some calls to make. Starting with the Morrison account. The next morning I sat in my private office on the top floor of the Thompson Business Center, a name James never bothered to research, watching the security feeds. At exactly 8:45 a.m., a courier delivered the certified letter to the reception desk of Thompson Marketing Agency. My phone buzzed. "Ms. Thompson, Angela's voice was professionally crisp. Your brother has received the lease notification. Security reports he's experiencing some emotional distress. I switched to the feed showing James's office. His face had turned an interesting shade of purple as he read the letter announcing that effective immediately, their monthly rent would triple. Not just a minor increase. We're talking about going from $15,000 to $45,000 per month. What the hell is this? His voice carried through the security feed. Jessica. Jessica tottered in on her designer heels, already looking overwhelmed on her first official day as creative director. Honey, I'm trying to figure out how to open the client database. Forget the database. Look at this. He shoved the letter at her. They can't do this. It's illegal. I smiled, opening my laptop to review the perfectly legal lease agreement their lawyer had obviously never read carefully. The clause allowing for rent adjustments was there in black and white, buried in the fine print Dad had always told us to read. My phone lit up with James's name. I let it ring. Then Jessica's number. Ignore. Then their company lawyer. Now that one, I answered. Sarah Thompson speaking. Miss Thompson, this is Robert Chin from legal. I'm representing Thompson Marketing Agency regarding this lease situation. Yes, Mr. Chin. I have your firm's previous correspondence right here, including your approval of the lease terms last year. Section 23.b specifically allows for rate adjustments with 24-hour notice. I trust you're familiar with the clause. Silence. I'll take that as a yes. Will there be anything else? Miss Thompson, surely we can discuss this reasonably. Like how reasonably I was dismissed yesterday. Please direct all further communication through proper channels. Good day, Mr. Chin. I hung up and watched the security feed as he delivered the bad news to James. My brother's face went from purple to white. But this was just the beginning. Angela appeared in my doorway. The Morrison account representatives are here for their meeting. Perfect timing. I walked into my conference room, where Mr. Morrison himself sat with his executive team. They looked surprised to see me. Sarah? We had a meeting scheduled with Thompson Marketing next week. About that, I smiled, taking my seat. I've started my own agency. And I thought you might like to hear about our new approach to your campaign. The one I actually developed, not the one my former company is about to pitch. 2 hours later, as the Morrison team left with signed contracts in hand, my phone buzzed again. A text from Jessica. The Morrison meeting cancelled? What did you do? I didn't respond. Instead, I sent out the email I'd prepared to Thompson Marketing's entire client list, the one I'd built over 5 years. A professional announcement of my new venture, including testimonials from clients who'd already jumped ship. By lunch, James was in full meltdown mode. Security reported he'd thrown his world's best CEO mug, self-purchased, against the wall. Jessica tried damage control, sending desperate emails to clients. Unfortunately, her fresh perspective mainly consisted of emojis and exclamation points. Then came the exodus. First, the creative team, my team, submitted their resignations. They'd been waiting for this moment, having received their offer letters from my new agency weeks ago. Next, the account managers who knew exactly who had built their client relationships. By 3 p.m., Thompson Marketing Agency was hemorrhaging both talent and clients. Miss Thompson, Angela appeared again. Your brother is in the lobby. He's demanding to see the building owner. I checked the security feed. James stood at the front desk, his tie askew, that smug smile finally gone. Jessica hovered behind him, frantically tapping on her phone, probably searching for how to save a failing company on Google. Send them up, I said, straightening my desk nameplate. It's time for a family reunion. The look on their faces when they walked into my office, my real office with its view of the city and modern art collection, was worth every second of yesterday's humiliation. You. James whispered. Me, I confirmed. Please have a seat. We should discuss your lease situation. And perhaps your rapidly declining client base. This is impossible, Jessica sputtered. You drive a Honda. A choice, not a necessity. Unlike your weekly shopping sprees, which might become problematic given your company's current financial trajectory. James collapsed into a chair, his world visibly crumbling. How long? How long what? Have I owned the building? 3 years. Have I been planning this? Since the day Dad made you CEO without even considering my contributions. Have I been watching you run my life's work into the ground? Exactly 3 months, 2 weeks and 4 days. You can't do this to us, Jessica protested. We're family. Family. I leaned forward. Family doesn't fire family to hire underqualified spouses. Family doesn't dismiss 5 years of dedication with standard severance. Family doesn't. Okay. James interrupted. You've made your point. What do you want? I opened my desk drawer and pulled out 2 documents. Option 1. You keep the company but with new terms. Triple rent stays. No negotiation. Option 2. You sell me your 51% at market value, which given today's events isn't looking very impressive. That's blackmail, Jessica hissed. No, that's business. Something you might want to learn about before accepting executive positions. James stared at the papers, his CEO facade cracking. And if we refuse both? Then you can try running a marketing agency with no staff, no clients and rent you can't afford. From what I hear, TikTok dances are very popular these days. Jessica flinched. You have until tomorrow to decide, I continued. Though given the rate at which your clients are calling my office, I'd suggest making it sooner. The next morning I arrived at my office to find James and Jessica already waiting. He looked like he hadn't slept, his usually pristine suit wrinkled. Jessica had abandoned her designer outfit for something more subdued. Apparently reality was finally setting in. We'll sell, James said without preamble. But I have conditions. I raised an eyebrow, taking my seat. You're not really in a position to make demands. Just hear me out. He pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. First, we keep our titles for a transition period. For appearance's sake. No. Sarah, please. Jessica's voice had lost its condescending edge. We have a reputation to maintain. A reputation built on my work, I reminded them. The same work you deemed unnecessary yesterday. Angela appeared with 3 cups of coffee, setting them on my desk. None for Jessica. She remembered yesterday's comment about learning to serve real executives. Second condition, James continued desperately. We keep our offices until we find new positions. I took a sip of coffee, enjoying the moment. You mean the offices you so graciously asked me to clean out? Those offices. Jessica started to speak, but James stopped her. Smart move. Probably the first one he'd made in months. Fine, he conceded. No conditions. Just, what's your offer? I slid a document across the desk. They both leaned forward to read it, then recoiled at the number. This is barely 30% of what Dad valued the company at. James protested. Dad's valuation didn't account for losing the entire creative team, half the client list and having no viable leadership. I paused. Oh, and the fact that you're about to miss payroll. Jessica's head snapped up. What? You didn't tell her? I smiled at James. The company account. The one you've been using for those executive lunches and first-class flights? It's almost empty. James. Jessica's voice had taken on a dangerous edge. I was going to transfer funds, he mumbled. From where? I asked innocently. The investment account Dad left you? The one you emptied for your Aspen vacation house. The color drained from Jessica's face. You said that was from your savings. Can we stay focused? James snapped. Sarah, be reasonable. This offer is insultingly low. Unlike firing your sister with no notice? I pulled out another document. This is my final offer. It's valid for exactly 1 hour. After that, I'll start entertaining offers from Harrison and Associates. They're very interested in acquiring a failing agency with a prime office location. James stared at the papers, his hands shaking slightly. You planned this all along, didn't you? Even before Dad. Let's just say I learned from the best. Dad always told us to read the fine print. You were just too busy playing CEO to listen. Jessica grabbed the papers from James. We'll take it. Jessica. We have no choice. He turned to me. But I want something in writing saying we left voluntarily. For our reputations. I pressed the intercom. Angela, bring in the resignation letters. Angela appeared with 2 perfectly crafted documents, dated yesterday. As requested, Ms. Thompson. Shall I call the notary? An hour later it was done. James and Jessica Thompson had resigned to pursue other opportunities. The press release was already written, the shareholders notified, and the new company structure in place. As they packed up their offices, supervised by security of course, I sat in my new chair at Thompson Marketing Agency. The nameplate now read Sarah Thompson, CEO and owner. The morning news had already picked up the story. Marketing agency undergoes leadership change. Thompson Marketing announces new direction. Rising star takes over family business. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Just saw the news. Your father would be proud. Would he though? Proud that his children had turned into this? That his son had betrayed his daughter only to lose everything? As if reading my thoughts, James appeared in my doorway one last time. Jessica waited by the elevator, her designer bags now filled with personal items instead of client files. Was it worth it? He asked quietly. Destroying the family business? I didn't destroy anything, I replied. I saved it. From you. He nodded slowly. Dad always said you were the smart one. I should have listened. Yes, you should have. As they walked out of the office for the last time, I heard Jessica's last attempt at dignity. At least we still have the house in Aspen. I smiled, opening my email to read the latest message from their bank. The house had been purchased with company funds that now belong to me. Sometimes karma needs a little help. And sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's success they have to watch from the outside. 1 month later, Thompson Marketing Agency announced record profits. The client list had grown, the creative team was thriving, and our new office space, with very reasonable rent, was the talk of the industry. James and Jessica? Last I heard, they were living with her parents in Ohio. Apparently, the job market for unqualified executives isn't great these days. As for me, I keep their old nameplates in my drawer. Not as trophies, but as reminders that success isn't about titles or power plays. It's about building something that lasts, something real. And yes, I still drive my Honda. Some choices aren't about necessity, they're about remembering who you are even when you win. Yesterday, a young executive asked me the secret to success. I thought about James, about Jessica, about all the games people play to feel important. Read the fine print, I told her. And never underestimate the quiet ones who drive Hondas. She looked confused, but someday she'll understand. Success isn't about looking powerful. It's about being powerful. And sometimes the best power is the kind nobody sees coming. As for the family business, it's doing just fine under its new leadership. Turns out, karma doesn't just come around. Sometimes it takes over the whole building.